Welcome to the Inner Athlete Podcast, where we help young athletes, parents, and coaches build strong, resilient, and high-performing athletes for sport and life. I'm Trent head strength conditioning coach and founder of Inner Athlete. Each episode, we break down the training, mindset, and habits that actually matter, from strength and speed development to injury prevention, confidence, and long-term athletic growth. Whether you're a parent trying to support your child or an athlete chasing their potential, you're in the right place. Let's get into today's episode.
And the other thing is, for the kids that are getting overlooked, just because they aren't as far along in their growth and maturation curve, to just don't panic, keep them faith, and if they can endure going through the types of parents will actually give them skills that will make them better. And actually, once it all kind of evens out and those growth curves can converge, to late teens or even early 20s in some cases, those late maturing kids that manage to hang around have a much better chance of actually making it at the pro level or the senior elite level. In terms of the how it's all like presented and package, I really can't take credit for that. And all of the content comes from my work, but in terms of how it's like packaged, in the run up of launching the book in January, I got some help with because I hate the promotion and the marketing, and so I haven't really done it. And it turns out if you want people to know that you have this book coming out, you have to. So with this one, I actually bet the bullet and said, "Okay, if I'm not going to do it, then I kind of have to get someone to help me." So that template was hers, and then my wife has actually taken it on since then. And since she creates the posts, and then I try then tweak them and so it's all, and she's grown it more than totally I or anyone else has, and so I really can't take the credit. It's a team effort. It's my work, but but it's in terms of how it's actually been presented and packaged and created in terms of the bite-sized format. That's all her. So
yeah, it's good. I think people just need that little bite, and then if they want to take a whole hunk of it, then they can go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I kind of figured out because the first support parenting book came out in 2022. Just since someone was only 6 months old then, and having just become a dad in that process, I kind of had the it kind of dawned on me that parents really struggle to find time to read books, just as my book parents came out, and I was so I then created the Substack, which is more bite-sized. It's every week you just have an email in your inbox, and then the Instagram is even more condensed, bite-sized version of that. So yeah, it's almost like there's 3 levels.
That's good. And then this one was quite interesting, and we're starting to see this in Australia. Well, it's starting to level out a little bit more in Australia now. Yeah. It's kind of like the development side versus boys and girls. Obviously,
sure. Yeah.
Last 10 years has been huge for women's sport. There's been a lot of money pumped into it, a lot of private equity. And now we're seeing more research starting to come out more. I think there was obviously, I guess, a general general consensus. There was more research done with male athletes, or combination of male and females, and not specifically female only driven research. And now it's more from the development side that it's. Sorry, my dogs decided to jump in.
Hi, Pop.
There's Franklin, by the way, big head of his.
How are you, buddy?
Yeah,
Good dog.
3 the other day, actually.
Very good.
And I think, the development side is still, I guess, lacking from the female perspective, but it's obviously with all the research and information and experts coming out, it's exponentially growing, like quite rapidly from that perspective. So give us a little bit of a take on what this post meant, and kind of like where do you see things moving forward for boys and girls development?
Yeah, I think there's almost different needs. I think for girls, like there's still not the same opportunities, and in terms of there's less of the pathways is less well defined anyway, which in some ways is a good thing if they can like find their own way, but it puts much more onus on to parents to basically like put the conditions in place for them. For boys, it's kind of the opposite like problem. The pathway is certainly there, but it's far more kind of numbers driven. It's much more competitive. Like again, the selection, decent. The selection is kind of a lottery. Because they can almost like waste talent because they have the numbers in the pipeline. So for boys, it is a very different problem. The other thing is just because there is a path doesn't mean that they should go kind of all in and like neglect their potential other career options, which is very common in like for instance in the UK, football, soccer. Boys go all in, and they're in an academy from really early on, like under 9, and they go all in. They give up on some calling almost because they're gonna make it, right? And 99% of them actually don't, and then they wash up, which is horrible. So yeah, different problems. Girls, we as it puts like much more onus on parents, and giving them the facilities like locally. But what we've found with like women's professional football, as that's become bigger in Europe and everywhere else, the US, there's been a massive ACL epidemic, and even with all the training and support that they get once they're in that pro pipeline, that hasn't helped. Certainly that hasn't solved it. And the reason is it all happens too late. And if girls are hitting puberty at 11, and then they could go into Tonic Academy and test them when they're 16, they've had 5 years of compensation patterns basically. Plus they often like have injuries in that period that they then take in as well. So if we don't give them the training that they need when they need it, which is earlier than apart from Tracy tend to begin, then we aren't going to solve it. Or it's much harder to solve later on because we have to untangle everything. We have to relearn the movement as well as making them stronger, which is much harder to challenge.
Yeah, and it becomes And it becomes a lot harder. It requires more reps later on down the track rather than earlier on, where they're kind of like sponges and and
it's just a really easy solution to solve the problem at source. Then you don't get that like cascade of secondary problems and like compensation patterns that then get bedded in for their formative years, and then that's a ton of learn to move. And so it's just it's far better to like solve the problem at source and to give them the boost when they need it, which is early.
So they really need that start the whole development,
early intervention,
right, really early. It's greater emphasis on the girls. Like boys, obviously, is still important, but there needs to be a higher emphasis on the girls because of the future consequences that can come up based on what's prevalent at the moment with with the professional soccer world or women's soccer.
Yeah, and so the solution is programs like yours, because like you're going to get them at the age and stage that make a difference.
Yeah, and then I think that's probably the biggest message that a lot of like parents with daughters need to actually.
Absolutely.
I think that's probably the only message we need to get out, and then everything else.
And the other thing, and we haven't really connected these dots, which is weird, is that if we did that, then more girls would also like stay in at sport as well, because they drop out at 12, 13, 14, 13, because everything gets harder, and as it's a social thing as well. So if the thing everything's just got harder, and I'm really self conscious and hyper aware of like social judgment, and then my friends like start like dropping out as well. Well, that's why they leave. And so if we gave them the boost to like get them over that hump, then they would also not like drop out as well. Which is,
I think this is where like the next 5-10 years probably need to spend like research wise getting this information out.
Well, but we've known that this for years. I mean, all of these the Toronto aren't new. I mean, but I've been like, it's been the past like 10 years. I'm trying to like get it out and I'm trying to figure out like how to reach people that actually can take notice.
If you're getting value from the Inner Athlete podcast, make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps more parents and young athletes find the right guidance and keeps this podcast growing. Back to the show.
Yeah, and I think from my perspective, because I get to work like on the field with the girls, under 13s, all the way up to the senior women's, actually talking to the coaches and having those touch points with the parents. And I think that kind of starts the conversation more so. And I think what's going to have to happen now is we've got a lot of private schools, I guess, in our area is now they're starting to invest in the youth athlete development side as well. So now we're seeing employment for strength and conditioning coaches come in. I know there's a boys' school. They built an indoor Ninja Warrior course, like a space, and I was like, oh, this is brilliant. This is what a boy and girl would love to be able to do. It's kind of like have something like that, and have access to it. And that's where I think, like I said, as S&C coaches, I think your message will proliferate by getting the S&Cs, because I think for me, like many years ago, I was kind of like, there's something missing. I see the patterns all the time, and like you said, it's all about wanting the dots, and and starting to see this more content and speak to coaches and speak to parents is obviously something we still lacking in terms of how to join the dots and becoming more informed in order to what are the next steps moving forward. So it's a more informative choice rather than just be like, just blind faith, which obviously sometimes you kind of have to take that faith, but knowing where the information is coming from and the context it's driving will help to lead to creating better decisions. And a lot of parents now that I speak to, they're like, they've had 3 or 4 children, and they've gone through different academy programs, whether it's like dance, soccer, whatever it may be. Unfortunately, they learn by trial and error, by trial by fire.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the oldest one is the one that cops the brunt of it because they kind of don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
And then the second child, all right, we made these mistakes. Let's not do that.
Fix the other things. Yeah.
They still cop something else. And then the third and fourth child is like, they're really hesitant now. They're kind of like almost like, what do I do now? I don't know what to do.
Yeah. And there's very a few companies are having 4 kids. So yeah, you don't get those as as many shots as you used to. So yeah.
I want to finish on this one. So I think obviously we've spoken about all this information on what parents should do, and now they've got to seek someone.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned in this post is like the 5 questions. Obviously you've worked with thousands of athletes across a multitude of sports, across different countries and demographics, and also ethnicities as well. So obviously working in New Zealand is going to be quite different to working in the UK, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of like the key things that parents should be looking for that they want their child to do some sort of resistance training, dryland training, whatever it may be? What are the kind of like the key factors that you believe that's going to enable them to make a sound choice moving forward?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest one is like the human factors into terms of a true development coach. It isn't about them, and it isn't about it's there's like a couple of different things to it. Like, so if your kid is just a vehicle for the coach or the program to have reflected glory, then that's the wrong sense. Run away from that. And a good test of that is that does the coach have a plan to then hand over in due course? Because a development coach, by definition, is their aim should be to get them to the next phase and then on them on, right? And since are they ready to do that? Do they have a transition plan? How do they view that? That's a pretty good test because that tells you about is this about doing what's best for my kid long term, or is this just about the coach's ego or the ground? I mean, and so I mean, to be honest, a big red flag is like the social media. If they are constantly using the kids in their program for like promotional content, that's not good. I mean, to me, that's kind of a red flag a bit. I mean, I get that you want to promote what you're doing, but it shouldn't be exploiting the kids in your program, I don't think. So there's no other questions. Are they even open to answering questions about like their approach and their rationale about it as well? So are they willing to engage and explain how they the why behind the what almost actually like justify their approach, and if they aren't, then that's again a worry, because there are no taking requests, and if they are offended by those types of questions, if assuming that they're asked with respect, then that's they shouldn't be. And how deep is their knowledge? I mean, if they give you an answer, and you ask a follow-up question, is there, can they give you more? Is there more like than just the like surface level that they give you? That's a good test too. So there's several just almost tells or like tests almost that you want to tick just to have this the sense that they know why they're there, they know and what they're doing, and they have a plan to then hand someone when the time comes.
Well, that's essentially our job, is the leapfrog.
Absolutely, it is.
The next phase of the sporting journey. I couldn't think of. This is probably the easiest description: is help fill in the gaps from a physiological, sometimes somewhat of a psychological side, in order to achieve, if they want to go play college or compete, go to the US in college, semi-professional, professional, go through elite pathways. There should be a point where you do need to have a pathway to let go, or an exit strategy for the athlete.
Absolutely,
got a girl at the moment. She's going to be playing D2 later this year, soccer, over in the US. And I said, all right, now she had a bit of an injury scare playing futsal in a national tournament. And I said, she's back to normal now. She's playing pretty well. And now we're going to do an exit strategy of, all right, if this is what they expect you to be prepared for, and this is what we're going to do for the next 3 months. This is all. This is primary focus. And then eventually she'll come back, and she'll come back during the off season. And it's like, okay, cool. What does your coach say? What do you need to improve on? What do you think you need to improve on? All right, we've got 3 months to smash that, and then we can ship you off again. And for me personally, it's a glowing tale of your success as a coach. Being able to get them prepared and play well. And obviously, as your athlete comes back, there's always going to be gaps. Obviously, going to a new program, you got to kind of plug, but you're building upon what you previously done from the last off season in order to get them more prepared for the upcoming off season as well.
Yes, I mean, coaching and parenting have lots of parallels. I mean, our job is to make ourselves redundant, right? To give them the tools and the knowledge and the judgment that they can take care of themselves. And yes, we can always add value, but as time goes on, they should become less dependent and more able to cope on their own. Because the biggest test is what happens when we aren't there. And if they fail that test, and that's on us, obviously.
I like that analogy. You kind of just preparing them for the next phase, but also what parents do as well, making yourself obsolete as well. I am wary of your time, and I really do appreciate you coming on to the In Athlete podcast and sharing your thoughts, wisdom, your experience, and obviously, Franklin, showing up as well. Wanting my attention for the lack of attention.
But I mean, I think kids and dogs are really good judges of people. So,
No, he's good. I adopted him probably about 2 months ago, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so he's settled in.
He's
just on the couch at the moment. So everyone loves him as well. Right. It's funny though, because we got some of the kids, right? Like when he stands up on his hind legs, and he's pretty much taller than some of the girls as well. So he loves a big old hug.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very good.
What we're going to do is we're going to share your social media. I think your social media deserves more of a rap. I think it's underappreciated from my perspective as a coach. Definitely going to get my coaches on board, reading your content, and obviously getting deeper into the content as well, getting on the Substack, because the youth athlete development market is a multi-billion-dollar market. It's only going to grow. I think it's predicted to be worth $80 billion by the end of the decade. It's US dollars as well. So we're only seeing more growth.
Yeah, and for practitioners that want to actually, it depends if you're driven by status or prestige, in which case, find chase like and working with the pros or whatever. But if you want to have impact and have and do real good and actually have like a real transformation impact, then the time to work is in this space, in this kind of youth development space. You can have such an impact, real profound impact that can change lives, and so who wouldn't want that?
No, I appreciate it. It will tag you in your socials. But yeah, like I said, really appreciate you taking the time, obviously, organizing the time zones and all that jazz. And at some point, we'd love to be able to cross paths with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. I appreciate your time, Paul, and we'll see everyone else on the next one.
You have just listened to the Inner Athlete podcast. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with the release of weekly episodes. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram to get great tips on all things youth athlete development and youth mentoring.